right, and we're live. We're live a day later, but nonetheless, we're live to talk about a busy week of action for FC Dallas and North Texas Soccer Club. I'm your host, Nathan. You can follow me at Nathan J. Hill. Welcome to Afterburn Soccer Show. And with me, a good buddy, Jose at El Chico Carmona.
What's up,
We're
everybody?
we're not going to waste a lot of time because we have a lot to get into. And we're going to start with a little bit more of the positive, and then we'll hit the the more murky reality, and then we'll close with some North Texas, which is also positive. So a positive sandwich, as they say. But we'll start with Open Cup play. FC Dallas advanced with a 2-0 win over Tampa Bay Rowdies. Um, a good solid performance on the road in a tough place. Oh, 2-1, I'm sorry. That's why I was hesitating myself there because that PK, I think, right? Late, yeah. I've slept since then, and plus we had that barn burner on Saturday night. But let's start with the Open Cup. Start with the positive. FC Dallas traveled down to Tampa Bay, got the win 2-1 to advance in the Open Cup. They'll play Sporting Kansas City next. This was a game that exemplified just really the form of FC Dallas as of late. It was not pretty. FC Dallas found two pretty solid goals. They took their chances when they had them, took the opportunities that came, but Tampa Bay really bossed the game for large stretches of the match. It was, for some fans, that was uncomfortable. But they got the job done. And I think Nico, after the match, just admitted that, hey, every Open Cup match is tough, and especially on the road, it's going to be tough, and you're going to have to find a way to win, and that's what they did. And so that was important to him. So overall positive. It looks like the Open Cup is a clear opportunity for FC Dallas to go deep. This is the deepest they've gone since, I think, 2017 to the quarterfinals. So congratulations, FC Dallas. Jose, your thoughts on that match?
Well, it's all about the result. There's two things. The two positives for me are, of course, first and foremost the result, but the second one was the starting lineup. It was what I call a serious starting lineup, and that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you look at the stats, it shows that on paper anyway, your statistician people will be like, "Oh, you guys got your butts whipped." But the truth is that the team was in control for the entire match. I mean, I know optics don't look very pretty, but it was 2-0, and if it wasn't for that PK, it's a 2-0 win, and Tampa, for all their shots, I think there was I only saw one or two that really threatened. Most of the time it was they were just straight on, not much power on them. So yes, there was a lot of shots, and they were that's what they were going for, high volume, high output. And I don't think the team really felt threatened, in all honesty, even despite all the possession and all the shots that Tampa Bay did. It looks terrible, but at the end of the day is you just played on the weekend. You got a midseason week game, and then you got the top team in the West, in the Western Conference coming. And I think that's the right move. Is play defense, sit back, don't waste your energy, and get the result. And that's all that really matters. At the end of the day, if this team, I'm not saying they're going to, but if this team makes the final, no one's going to say, "Oh yeah, but you guys look terrible against Tampa Bay."
Right.
They didn't look that good against Memphis either. And let's face it, this is a team that right now still doesn't look like it's in form at all. They're playing like it, and yet they're squeaking out results. And so it doesn't look pretty, but the result is what counts.
And we give some credit there to Logan Farrington, his second goal in this Open Cup competition, keeping Dallas in it, and that's already way above, your return on a super draft pick. Even though, I mean, he went high. Some people thought they overreached, but to get some guy who's going to contribute something early on in his career in professional soccer, it's house money. So good stuff for him, and good for this
Yeah,
team to
it's
build some depth. Musa was missing for that match too, welcoming a child into his family. Congratulations to the Musa family. But
True.
yeah, like you're missing your best striker, who's a legit striker, and you found a way to win. Yeah,
That's all that really matters.
that's
It's
all.
about the result. Like I said, no other people aren't happy with the what the stats say and all the shots Tampa Bay did. But what I wanted to see was a serious starting lineup out there, and they did take this match seriously. And at the end of the day, they had the result. And like I said, they even though the stats say otherwise, I never really felt the team was in trouble until they gave up the PK, and only then did I start worrying. But up until that point, they were up 2-0, and frankly, it's what Nico's been preaching in the past couple of years is you have to convert what the few options that you have, and that's just this is what's happening. This is why it doesn't look all that pretty, is because FC Dallas is now starting to convert their few chances, even though they're getting outshot, by everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we take that positive, and then we jump to Saturday night. Well, actually, we'll come back to North Texas. North Texas played on Friday night, a victory at home. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but let's hit the RSL match. So I did this in my article that I tried to lay out sort of the sense of the game state of like how a match unfolds, and then also the form that teams are bringing into the match. It happens in this league that a really out of form team finds a way to win against an informed team. It happens. It's soccer. The balances sometimes go each way. But we wouldn't say that Dallas came into this game in the worst form. It had been much worse earlier in the season. They have found some results. They've been able to turn some things around. They've gotten some confidence. And I think they brought that with them, even as they came up against Real Salt Lake, who are unbeaten, like 10, 11 matches, 11 matches now, as we'll hear from Nico in a minute, and but who are just the best scorer in the league right now. I don't know if RSL is going to keep that up, if they're going to get hit by injuries or what, but they looked the part on Saturday. They came in and they looked the aggressor. It's a lot more skill than Tampa Bay had. And so things did not look great for Dallas, and yet Dallas grew into the game and found an unlikely goal off of a Zach McMath blunder, classic blunder. And it seemed like the team found life going into the second half, found two more goals. It was euphoric. It was just the kind of bounces that this team has been yearning for a long time. And then RSL kept fighting, kept pushing, took advantage of Dallas almost seeming to be surprised to have such a commanding lead. And, well, they found a late stunner. To me, it looked like it ricocheted off a Dallas player. Nothing Paz could do. Just a backbreaker. And yet, when you look at the XGs for this match, and I'd be curious about your thoughts about this, Jose, it was fairly even. I mean, it was probably a little more in favor of RSL. And so you can look at it statistically and say that stinks, and yet maybe that's a fair result. And Dallas has something in the disappointment of that late goal to look back at this game and say we can build upon this. What are your thoughts on that barn burner of a match?
It's a tale of two halves, with obviously Dallas jumping out to a 3-0 lead. And, you know, the result itself is what is upsetting everybody. It's you're up 3-0, and you just can't hold on, and you end up having settling for a draw in a game that frankly it showed that you should have won. But so the optics on this just look terrible all the way around. But at the end of the day, you ask yourself, is it a bad result? And the truth is this is not a bad result for this team. A draw against RSL, who's red hot. They're averaging two goals a game for the season. They just lit up Colorado 5-3, in which they scored 3 goals in the last 10 minutes against Colorado, in a match that Colorado was winning. and then they come in to Frisco and playing a team who played midweek, and RSL simply played like a team that knew that FC Dallas was going to run out of legs, and that's exactly what happened. Is FCD simply doesn't have the has the depth. You're missing Jesus, by the way, who's you know he's got that reoccurring injury, so we might as well just get used to seeing him make a cameo every other match. But at the end of the day, it's a good result. It's just the optics of it, being up 3-0 and being unable to hold. That's frankly, you can't blame the fans for being upset about that because that's simply unacceptable uh, by any team, and
Yeah,
especially at home. So it's
it's tough to swallow. I
it,
mean, even
it's
if
tough. It
you're
feels like a
RSL,
loss. It feels like a loss, but I'm telling you, at the end of the day, it's a good result against the top team in the West from a team that, frankly, FC Dallas has not looked like they should even be close to getting a point against a team like RSL. And the other thing, oh, by the way, the other thing that makes it even more frustrating is the fact that we've got the three road games against three of the top teams in the West. So this could have been the team's last chance to get 3 points, and so it stings, and it's just very tough to be a fan right now.
well, let's jump over and listen to head coach FC Dallas head coach Nico Estevez after the match, kind of his instant reactions, and you can hear how upset he was, how frustrated he was, and disappointed really in how things unfolded.
I mean, it's unacceptable, to lose this game. It's unacceptable. Like the mistakes we made in the goals conceded are avoidables. Um, the first goal, the giveaway that we had, is not acceptable. The second goal, the way that we defend that, is not acceptable. And the third goal is like a really, really bad moment for the team, and like attention. And I understand, we played on Wednesday, they didn't, right? And I understand that we were gonna be fatigued at the end of the game, because it is reasonable to think about that. It just not even the goals conceded. Like, I think we had chances to score the fourth goal, even the fifth goal, and close this game earlier. I think, in the other hand, until we concede the first goal, I think overall, besides some moments in the first half at the beginning, we had to adjust a couple things there. After that, I think we did really well, like dominate with the ball, without the ball, create chances. We're being very, very dangerous, and then we were doing the things that we've been doing well, but we didn't have that consistency. And in this game, we had, for a long period of time, a lot of consistency. This is something that, also with young players happen, that consistency throughout you are able to do great things, and then in a moment you lose that, and it gets playing, it gets with minutes, and this is the challenge always here, because we have good prospect young players, and they can do amazing things, like Patrickson did, amazing game that he had, and we have to count with this, and we have to learn from this. We knew RSL is a very strong team. They're the top of the West. They didn't lose in 10 games, now 11. We wanted to cut that. We were in a good situation. We knew that they came back to 5-3 last week against Colorado, that Colorado is doing well. And I think it's a very disappointing result that we got after the whole effort that we had today.
Well, there's a lot there, but you could hear his disappointment, his frustration, how close the team was to a huge result that could have really lifted their season. I don't know that he is blaming the young players, but he's acknowledging that you bring in young players, you need fresh legs. You've had guys play midweek as well. You need to bring in some fresh legs to close out a result. And young players can do wonderful things, but they can also lack the consistency. They can make little mental mistakes in high pressure situations. So I don't know that he's blaming this result on young players in as much as he's just acknowledging sort of the realities of his roster and his limitations, and also it wasn't just young players making mistakes. There were some veteran miscues as well. So it's just a tough uh, situation all around. Um, you know, I think as the press conference went on, he did get a little bit more positive as far as, yeah, it's really disappointing right now, but I'm sure there are things we're going to go back and say, hey, we did this well or we did that well. And so, I know it's tough being a head coach. So I'm curious, Jose, if you think if they're going to land in a similar place that you are, be able to look back and say, there were enough positives from this that we can't be too distraught.
There's plenty of positives. I mean, despite despite how us fans are feeling, at the end of the day, this team is currently on a five-match unbeaten streak with three wins. Like, sure, two of those are in U.S. Open Cup, but you got to start winning somewheres. And also, let's not forget that in the first 10 games of the season, FC Dallas scored only 10 goals, and now in since this run started, um, they're averaging almost 2 goals a game, and that's frankly that's the one positive that you can get is lost in this whole we could not get a fourth goal, which is honestly what I was hoping for. I knew we were going to need a fourth goal to keep. I'm a realist, and I knew RSL was going to finish strong, and they probably game planned that way. Say, hey, this team's going to be exhausted. We're going to pour it on regardless of what the score is. And if they would have been up 3-0, then they would have been happy to tack on another 3 goals. But that was always their game plan. Was you got a team who played a pretty solid lineup midweek in a tougher than expected match. So the game plan should be, hey, we'll turn it up in the second half, and that's exactly what RSL did. And kudos to them. At the end of the day, like I said, it's taken away from the fact that FC Dallas scored 3 goals against a team that was only allowing one goal. I mean, one goal a game. And the team in FC Dallas that has struggled to score goals is suddenly starting to score regularly. And yes, this team has a lot of issues, but if the attack can get going, and they need it to go, it's gonna help this team in the long run. They need to get the attack on track, and frankly, you're starting to see it. They've got in MLS matches alone, they have a total of 16 goals this season. 6 of those are in the last 3 games. So the signs are there that this team is at least starting to figure out how to score. Are some of them fluky? Sometimes you make your own luck. Something that this team couldn't do in the first 10 games. And
Well, and
and
fascinating too that they scored 3 goals against RSL, and Musa, who had was really I, a little disappointing in him not for him not to at least put one of those into the back of the net. He had multiple opportunities. At least one he should have gone, and maybe he was a little too cute on one or two.
and
But
and that's
but you
just it
scored
though.
3 goals without him, right? That's a good sign.
Without him and missing Jesus, I mean that's something. And there's some fans out there who are very upset because they feel that FC Dallas was lucky not to have allowed more than 3 goals, but they were also unlucky not to have scored more than 3 goals. So it's not simple as what ifs, because the what ifs go both ways. RSL deserve to have more than 3 goals scored on them, and the same can be true for FC Dallas. So this was at the end of the day the result is justified in all honesty. And like I said, I'll say it again for everyone who's out there and didn't hear me say it earlier. This was a good result. It's the way they came about it that is bad, and both things can be true. It's two things that also can be true is that Nico has not lost the players. He may have lost the fans.
Hmm.
So that both can be true because at the end of the day, the players are standing up for Nico. You don't hear any complaints. They seem to be turning around, but at the end of the day, the fans right now aren't happy with the way this team's going about getting results. And honestly, until all the injuries get squared away, this is what you're looking at. You're looking at a team that's averaging 1 point per match, and it's going to be that way until this team gets healthy and gets everything in order. And 1 point per match isn't good enough to get you in the playoffs. In all honesty, they need to start picking it up, or yeah. I mean, Nico, I don't think is in the hot seat yet, but not making playoffs or not being in a position to make the playoffs, that's the one thing that will get him fired. So I still see signs that this team's turning around, but then again, like I said, three game road match. If 3 losses would certainly place him squarely in the hot seat. So it's this 3 matches coming up are huge. He has to figure out a way to get this team to get some points on the road, or that hot seat will be practically on fire at the end of the road trip. He's already there with the fans, and the results is what is keeping him in good standings with the owners. But when the results stop happening and the fans are livid, it's sooner or later Dan Hunt and them are going to start listening to the fans. Something that, come on, let's face it, they're not really known for.
Yep. They've got to find a way to steal some points on this road trip, even if it's a couple of draws. I mean, just get something positive momentum going, and they have that opportunity. And really, they can come out and play tomorrow night. They can play angry if they want to, after what they did. Have a defensive unit that plays a little angry, and but at the same time, I think Nico's going to have to rotate guys. You're going to have to give guys like Nolan Norris some more minutes just to keep legs fresh. To it's going to be a long road trip.
And honestly, this match being a midweek match is going to be their best chance to steal points on the road because our opponent is also coming off a short week. So even though I don't want to say they're going to be an equal footing, but they're going to be as close to equal footing as they're going to get. And so, I mean, who are they playing? Galaxy first.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really know what their depth situation is because they're going to have to. I mean, we already know what FC Dallas' depth situation is, and frankly, it's incredible that they've gone 5 match unbeaten streak with the kind of depth that this team has. That in itself is impressive. So we'll see what kind of depth LAG has because of the 3 teams coming up, I think they're the team that has the best chance of getting results. Don't forget that LAG has a tendency to press high, use a high line, and they're not going to bunker. And that's the one thing that FC Dallas has traditionally, regardless of who the coach is, or regardless of who the manager is, they've always been able to punish teams that use a high press line and that don't go into a mid to low or low block. So I wouldn't be surprised if LAG goes into a mid block or a low block because trying to save their legs. But that's not what they're known for. So I think this is going to be another boring, close game, and I think a draw is a very realistic result, despite of how FC Dallas, what you may think of them or what Nico's doing. He did this last year. Don't forget, he did this at the end of the year when they reeled off almost 13 games with all draws and a win here and there. So Nico has been able to do this in the past, and we could be looking, like I said, it's important that they get a point at minimum against LAG because I think LAFC and and Minnesota United. Those are going to be a little bit tougher to get points out of.
Well, we need to begin to wrap the show up. But first, we want to touch base, go back to Friday, and touch base. North Texas played the Real Monarchs at Choctaw Stadium and wheeled off their second straight win, 2-1.
Where they are undefeated.
Yeah, undefeated at home and now at the top of the Western Conference in MLS Next Pro. So this team continues to be a force. They continue to be young and raw in areas. There's things that they can improve on, but you saw Pedrino with his second goal. Tariq Scott got another goal. I think they're getting closer and closer to unlocking their complete game where they don't give up a free kick goal or a dead ball situation or something on the run of play, and they have that clean sheet and they really get their offense going. I think this team, they're so dangerous and so much fun to watch. So congratulations to Coach Gall. And they're going to be playing LAFC 2 up in Fullerton. I'll be going up for that match to cover it this week. And so it'll be an interesting test on the road to see if they can translate that this run of play into against a team on the road in their own house. Yeah, I'm feeling really positive about North Texas making a really solid run this year and being in
Well,
contention.
they've corrected a lot of the issues that plagued them last year, in all honesty, and right now they're sitting with the top defense in MLS Next Pro, only having allowed 8 goals on the season. Their attack really hasn't been all that impressive by MLS Next Pro standards. In all honesty, they're middle of the pack. So it's the defense that's winning them games. And even in their one lone loss, that was a late goal that stole a 1-0 victory for their opponents. But up to that point, it looked like that was going to be a draw also. So
Right.
this team right now sitting with the second best record in that league, 1 point behind the Union. And it's the defense. The defense is what's making this team. It looks like it's going to have legs, and it looks like they will definitely be a player when it's all said and done. Because you got to have that defense to build upon, and then get your attack on track. And that's something that this team can definitely do. As long as their defense holds and continues to play the way it is. Once they figure out that attack, I think this team is growing and gaining confidence and getting better.
Well, we need to leave it there. I have to go to a meeting, got to work, but just please stay tuned to afterburn.soccer, our website. Please subscribe for free even. I'll be trying to post some content from the LA run of matches since I'm out here on the West Coast. I'll be visiting and watching the game at LA Galaxy and LAFC this next few days.
And LAFC too.
And LAFC too. So a full weekend of some soccer. It's going to be a busy one. Try to post some pictures, some video, some feedback from coaches, staff, and players if I can. So it's going to be a fun one. Plenty of soccer on tap. Oh, gosh. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's hope FC Dallas can pull out some results over the next few days and give fans a little bright something to look forward to.
Yeah, I getting the result on the road would go a long ways towards at least winning the team some good favor with the fans. Which right now it's I don't know. We got to hang in there. We got to hang in
Yep.
there and hope this team figures that out.
Yep.
All right, guys.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.